There we go.
Thank you. Firstly, welcome to the Town Centre and Events Committee on the 21st of June 2021. This is the second committee of this cycle. I understand from the officers that we have Mr. John Rooney in the public session, so we'll do that first before we move on to it, onto the agenda, if that's okay. So if we can allow John into the meeting, that would be really good.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you,
yep.
John.
All right. Cheers. What was it you wanted me to say? Do?
Nothing, John. Just tell us why you've come to the public meeting.
I've just come to the public meeting. I'm expecting one or two of my neighbours to come in, pure and simply because of an event that happened on Friday afternoon down in March Edge again, and would just like to sort of bring it to the attention, although that I'm sure most people are aware that within the council that we've had another flooding incident, not river related, and it was sewers and drains again. And the fact is that Anglian Water are showing little to no interest, but the support that we had from the town council team was, superb.
Thank you for that, John. That's important to know. Do you know which of your neighbours and colleagues are coming?
I believe Karina Whitehead is going to attend. I don't know whether Karen next door and Anne can't, because she's not into the technology, and she's the one that we're concerned about, because she's an 80-year-old, 80 in a month or so, victim of flooding from the Christmas flooding from the same drain, and she's still not in her house yet. She's still living in a room up at the Travel Lodge in Buckingham 6 months after the event, and we're still getting flooding incidents from the same drain. With last Christmas, the Anglian Water was basically putting the blame onto the river, whereas this time the river had no involvement whatsoever. We're just now trying to put some pressure on to Anglian Water. Hopefully, we did get somebody down, an operative come down yesterday afternoon. Basically, the first thing he did was had a look at the river, and we explained then again. He has said he'll furnish a report from what he said, because there was 5 or 6 of us out there ready to greet him. We was cool, calm, collective and polite to him, and I'm waiting for a confirmation. He said he'll try and get members of the management side of Anglian Water here this week, hopefully Wednesday, but it's not yet confirmed.
Just so the councillors know, John, is he the only resident currently affected, the 80-year-old lady? Is there any other residents who are directly affected presently?
There's one house that was flooded during Christmas, but the only one that's not back in her house is Anne, and she lives at number 22. And she's just been a rock, but I'm sure it's taken its toll on her now. Because she told me the other day she's struggling to consider it a home anymore, because of she's just so stuck in a room. She's a very active lady for her age, But basically, we're all saying we cannot live on the knife edge of every time we're going to get a heavy rain that we're going to be flooded out of our houses. Then the ladies of the area, because most of the men were at work, one husband did get home. He ran up to, drove up to Paragon and had to personally hire a surge pump. The ladies actually managed to get the cover off the drain, and basically the ladies were pumping the sewer to prevent further flooding, and it was already coming into front gardens, Anne's being one of them. So if they hadn't taken that action to prevent that from getting worse, the chances are she would have had raw sewage going through their house again. And basically the ladies of the row of houses, as far as we're concerned, saved the day.
Good on them. Good on them. Is there anything additional you want us to know, John? Because we won't, unless members have got specific questions to ask, we don't normally do them. I'll just give members opportunity to ask any specific question that's come out of it. There will be a record of what you said, John, and and this is a public forum, so people can know your concerns. I think we have to take some of these things. I'm really pleased that you're grateful to the assistance that the town council's given you, and we've got good people work for us. So I'm sure where they can, they will assist in any way. But this sounds like the residents' action saved another tragic event. But if there's any member wish to ask John a question, because it appears the other neighbours haven't managed to get into the meeting. I take it no then. Councillor Ryan, will it?
Thank you very much. I'd just like to ask, you said that Anglian Water haven't played ball, essentially. Could you give us some examples of where they've gone wrong, and what current actions are they taking apart from the Wednesday's meeting?
As far as I know, nothing. Until they, on the Christmas flooding incident, they did promise to put an alarm on the drain, and nothing has happened 6 months down the line. They did say they would have these drains surveyed. We've had no feedback or absolutely nothing from Anglian Water. We are out here on a limb.
Thank you both for that. Well, John, you've got our sincere appreciation of the problem. I can assure you the members take these matters very seriously, and we can sincerely feel for you. What we haven't got is the control over Anglian Water, and what we haven't got is the control over the Environment Agency. But we do have conversations with them, and with the agreement of the town clerk, a note of this will go to the public session information to the Environment Committee, because I think that this is probably something that the Environment Committee are looking at, and the chairman of the Environment Committee and the town clerk will be interested in this, and it will form part of a body of work consultation and things that we're doing, and it's very valuable, and we're not discounting it, and we're not in any way, if that's okay, John. Unless there's anything additional you need to say, we'll move on, and thank you for your attendance.
Well, with the basic thing on the section 19, can our situation be raised in the section 19 review? Because Anglian Water were directly blaming the river when we now know that it is not the river. they've got a flooding issue of sewage, and to blame the river is totally out of order in our view. And the only other thing I would express is, if some members of the town council, if they bump into Lee Phillips, the Green Spaces manager, can you thank him from us all for his support? He came down, he summed up the situation very quickly. His actions were to prevent rather than cure. He went off, he came back, he provided an emergency issue of sandbags and everything. That was so much appreciated, to know that somebody was there trying to help the ladies that were out there pumping it out. We shouldn't be expected to be pumping sewage out of a drain every time it rains. But Lee was absolutely fantastic, and he was a major piece of support to us on the Friday afternoon.
Well, we are very lucky to have Lee as our estates manager, and new members will find out what a valuable member of the team he is. And he works in conjunction with officers within the council, and we are lucky that we got such good people. Can you leave it that we'll move into our meeting now, John? And can I thank you sincerely for informing us about these problems? And I think with the agreement of the town clerk, if he agrees, we'll take a note of what you said to the Environment Committee, because I believe there'll be a section on flooding, an instance there, and your comments are at the section 19. I can't remember the terminology, but the audit into whether it's about the flooding. I'm not too sure, I haven't got it in front of me, whether it includes that. I'll take guidance from the town clerk whether it can be added as an addition to that, to look into at the view, because it can't be, there's a variant that's changed. It definitely wasn't the river that was flooding you, it was the drain now, and that's proved it. So I think they need to change their review of that, otherwise they'll make bad decisions. So I think we'll leave that and move that to the Environment Committee. Many of the members present, including the Mayor and Councillor Fran Davies and Councillor Sue Herrington, are on the Environment Committee, and they've listened to what you said, and they'll take this forward. And both Ryan and Andy, we are like a team of people who work together. So be assured we take your, it very serious. So with that, I will thank you again, John, for your attendance, and we'll move into the meeting. That's okay?
Yeah, sure. And thank you.
It's our pleasure to hear from you. Okay, members. First item on the agenda, apologies for absence. We have standing apologies, I understand, for Rabina, which we know about. Is there any other apologies present?
Yep. So we've received apologies from Councillor O'Donoghue, who is attending some training for the Town Council.
Well, thank you very much. Are we happy to accept all those apologies? That agreed? Thank you. Item 2, declarations for interests on the agenda. Have we any prejudicial interests on the agenda? I should imagine not. But if you do feel you've got something as we go through. And item 3 is a new item on the agenda, which the town clerk will talk to clarify the status of the meeting as we go forward. And I'll ask town clerk to do that.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So just to remind members that this isn't a committee, it's a working group, which enables us to meet online and have an informal discussion. After the meeting, I'll consider recommendations made by the committee, by the working group, and agree and enact them where appropriate, unless recommendations are made to full council, in which case they'll go to full council for decision.
Thank you very much. Which is item 4, the minutes of the 12th of April and the 2nd of June. Had members got any questions or queries on them before we agree them as a true record of the event? I take silence as agreement. Is that okay? So we've agreed those. Can we have a show of hands for the camera?
1, 2,
Thank
3,
you.
4, 5.
Okay, well, that's unanimous, so that's fine. At which point we move on to item 5, which is to receive a COVID verbal report from the town clerk, which I know he'll probably be brief anyway.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, obviously we will talk further about COVID as we go down through the agenda. Just to highlight that the restrictions are still in place and will continue to be so until the 19th of July. So for the market, the current arrangement remains with stalls being slightly separated from one another. Shop mobility remains open on a Saturday, and we'll talk about the impact on events when we get down to those agenda items.
Thank you very much, Town Clerk, which is item 6, which is action list. Is there anything on the action list, members? I'll give you a few minutes to look at it rather than skip you over it. Is there anything on there that you are, so many of the actions are in the agenda. There was one action at the bottom about ordering a trophy, which Councillor Mari and Councillor Bloomfield had suggested. I presume that's in hand. This is the trophy for the In Bloom competition. I don't know where we got with that, just that it'd be silly if we have the competition and haven't got the trophy.
Yeah, Town Clerk.
Yeah, we don't have the final recommendation to bring you, but it is in hand, and we'll have something in place for the competition.
Would it be okay that...
Well, Amanda wants to say something I've missed out.
Amanda.
Sorry. Councillor Mahi will remember we already have a trophy that is given to the winner of Buckingham In Bloom. So do we want to come up with something else? The trophy we've had since I think it's 2014, and we get people's names engraved on it as they win it every year.
Or do we rename that as the Terry Bloomfield Trophy?
Well, I'm happy to be guided by the view of the committee, but if that's the proposal, I'm happy with it. Councillor Mari proposes it. I'd rather be led by Councillor Mari.
I think it would be better to have a new trophy with the engraving on it saying Councillor Bloomfield Trophy, which then would then be separate from the one we normally be using.
Members agreed with that? And are you happy, Andy, to liaise with Amanda on that? Councillor Fran Davis, and then Margaret Gately, the Mayor. You're first, Fran. You're unmuted now.
Sorry, I was putting my hand up in agreement.
Right. Okay. Councillor Gately.
Thank you. Just if we are going to have a separate trophy, it needs to be for something distinct, distinctly different from the current trophy. And I'm not sure how well we've been doing with entrants for our Buckingham Bloom. Have we got sufficient interest and different categories to be able to justify having a separate trophy?
Well, we'll do that discussion about that further down the agenda, Councillor Gately, but this is really just to decide with the trophy, because it's the order of the agenda. It's done. I understand the complete logic of what you're saying, but we need to answer this question now rather than later. We've had a proposal which hasn't been seconded to get something additional. If that's a proposal that from Councillor Gately that which we leave this to, we get further down the agenda, but it was agreed in action of the council that we would have a trophy marked with for Councillor Bloomfield. So we do need to resolve that issue. So I'll ask the town clerk for his view, and then we'll move forward.
It would make sense to discuss it further down the agenda then, wouldn't it? So once we've got a clarity when we talk about that agenda item about where we are, then we'll be able to decide. So if members are agreeable to discuss that under the agenda item for...
Are you happy with that, Andy?
Yes, we are, yes. Go ahead.
Okay, in which case we'll move swiftly on, which is the parade. I'll let Amanda fill members in on this. There's a link to the parade. It was an event primarily done by the previous mayor up to Stowe, and it was discussed at town council that we would do it again. Who's going to lead on explaining that event, or are I going to lead on it? I'll leave Amanda to do that. Thank you.
Okay. This is something that Councillor Harvey did when he was mayor. He led a group of people, he called it a promenade, up to Stowe Arch, and I wasn't involved in it at all. It was something that he took on himself as mayor. So I'm not quite sure what he wants to do. I would imagine it's the same as he did last time. I don't know if you remember it, Robin.
I do remember it. I was just sort of listening. I see the current mayor, Councillor Gately's got a hand up, so I think it's better I take her before I say anything.
Yeah, thank you. I did have some correspondence from somebody at Stowe, and I think Amanda was copied into that. I think John again instigated the discussion. Sorry, I'm just going to put my light on. I seem to be sitting in the dark. And I replied to the individual whose name I've forgotten, saying that I'd be interested in taking it forward. But I think he was going on leave for 2 weeks, almost immediately afterwards. And I haven't had a reply from him since I sent him a message. And I think it does sound interesting if this committee in principle is in favour of having increased links with our neighbours at Stowe.
Before I come in, is anybody else got anything to add on that? I'm taking it as read that the new mayor would be happy to lead on this event, in the sense that, would you be happy to walk up to Stowe and or be at Stowe to meet them, whichever you think's most appropriate?
Yeah, I think the idea was that maybe we do it the opposite way round, start at Stowe and walk back to Buckingham, rather than do it. But I'm easy.
And then they go back to their vehicles, like.
Well, wherever. Why would we need vehicles, depending on where we live? But anyway, there you go. I wouldn't need a vehicle to get to Stowe and back.
But some people who are elderly might.
I know, some people can't do it, but.
Exactly. So are we happy to allow officers, the mayor, to coordinate that event and leave, because it's going to involve Councillor Gately, that we very much let her determine the parameters and how it goes? Are we agreed with that?
Yeah.
It seems sensible not to tell her what to do and let her have some choice over what she does.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that, Margaret?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Thank you. In which case, we'll can we just show hands of agreement for that for the camera? Thank you. So that's agreed unanimously. There you are, Margaret. You've got an event to do. Now we'll move on to budgets. I'll just give you a few minutes to look at the budgets rather than do the familiar take it page by page and all that. You may not have looked at them. These are the budgets for the committee, and they're your budgets for the year, and it shows you where you've got to. Also shows you the money which is in earmark reserves. If you need any questions about which budgets are to this committee, you can, the town clerk could do that. It also in the budget shows you the market expenditure, which is part of our report. You will have a future report on markets coming to a future agenda, but I do think it's worth noting for the minutes that our town markets manager's been doing a tremendous and sterling job, and if you look at the budget heading, we're quite a lot ahead of on finance and what we expected to be at this time in the year. Of course, the year is not quite complete, but we are doing rather well thanks to his efforts, and we should record that in the minutes, and obviously that's a positive, but there'll be a future report on that. Is there any questions on the budgets? Well, some of the questions are within the agenda. I take it Ryan's got his hand up.
Just a quick one. I haven't noticed any youth council working group meetings. Does this also encompass? Is this also encompassed in the budget, or am I?
Yeah.
Overseeing?
I mean, unless Sam Clark wants to cut in, which I'll allow him to cut in on that, because he'll explain to you where we are on that. I think it's better it comes to the town clerk. We haven't had a working group. The two things are separate, Ryan. There's the youth budget, which is within this committee, and then there's the youth council budget, which are very separate things, and members get confused. But I'll let the town clerk contradict me if he believes I'm wrong. He has to unmute first. There
Sorry.
we go.
You'd think I knew how to work this by now, wouldn't you? I do apologise. Yeah, so we do need to arrange a meeting of the members who are working with the youth council, which you haven't yet done. So we'll be doing that the next few days, Ryan, to agree our strategy going forward for September. So that will come out this week. And as Robin said, it's slightly deceptive. What is called the youth project budget is actually what funds play around the parishes. And there is a separate youth council budget of £1,000 somewhere as well, and a little bit for admin. Is that in resources, Amanda? Have I mentioned that?
It should be in this budget because it's actually under this committee, but it should be under budget heading for this.
9001, I think.
Oh.
It's just not showing up
Take
on my
it as
report.
read that it's under this committee, Ryan. If it's not shown in these, we'll have a discussion why not afterwards. But before I take Margaret, just for history on it, the reason we had a youth budget period was one of our late councillors, Councillor Disorga, realised that there was no funding directly within the council to do anything for the youth, and she fought very strongly to achieve that. So it's her. Councillor Gately.
Just thank you. Just to say that it's the very first line under earmarked reserves, Youth Council, £1,000.
That's a different amount. That's an amount that's set aside. For some reason, the report's missed off item. There's a cost centre 304, which includes Youth Council, and I can't work out why it's not come out in this report. I've just run it on the actual system, and there is a budget of £1,015 for the Youth Council, plus a budget of £102 for Youth Council admin that should be showing. So we'll resolve that for next time.
Yeah, okay. Well, we take it. Are you happy, Councillor Willett, that we bring that to you and you'll be informed in the next few days?
That's smashing. Thank you.
And after that, if members have agreed to note the budgets, any serious questions, the town clerk will always answer them. And if not, come back to any one of us. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a motion from or proposal from Geraldine Collins to hold a multicultural type event. I think it's something that we would support, would we not?
Yeah.
Is that agreed unanimously?
Yeah.
Chairman, can I just ask in the context of that, is that something, obviously we need to work out what we're going to do about that. Is that something that the working group would like the new diversity and inclusion group to consider how to make that happen?
I was going to suggest that in the spirit of good working, that we ask them to come forward if the town clerk believes it's proper. We tell them that we're going to organise the event and we ask them to come forward with some suggestions, and we bring it back to a future meeting. And if there's any budgetary questions, it'll have to come back in time for us to preset for that, if it's additional or whether we can fit it in with something else. If you're happy for us to talk around that question before the next agenda or the one after when they bring it back. We've got a meeting in September, haven't we, Town Clerk? Have we got another meeting before that, before precept?
Oh, yeah.
So in which case, we can bring it either to that meeting, the one after, their proposals. And if members are agreed, some of you might be on the diversity group. You may be able to discuss that with them and bring it back. But I think it's for us to say we want to do this, we might as well use that subgroup to bring forward some suggestions. Would you not agree? Are we happy as that as an action? Show of hands, please.
Yeah, that's unanimous.
Thank you. That way, we'll just send a note to Councillor Collins that that was agreed. Right, item 10, I've at 10.1, which is bounce back. I think the celebration Buckingham event, I think Amanda should and the town clerk and Claire may talk you through that, whichever one wants to lead in it. Unless you want to lead on that, Claire, because of the considerations of where we've got. It doesn't matter which one of you wants to lead on that, because of the fact that we can't quite do what we wanted to do because of the COVID lockdown being where it is.
Yes, certainly I'm happy to talk through. Because of the nature of the event and the restrictions that are going to remain in place, we're going to that we move the event into a time when we won't have any restrictions on. This is not just about community safety, but a lot of our exhibitors weren't going to be happy when there were still restrictions on attending. We've got two potential dates that we've been looking at, and Amanda's very diligently emailed everybody that was going to be attending, every exhibitor, to ask what their favoured dates when they were most likely to be free. And I think Amanda's pretty clear. It's the 4th of September date is the one when most people want to go for. 31st of July, lots of people have things planned. And I have to admit, there's still quite a lot of worry from people that there may still be restrictions in place and we don't want to have to do a cancel and rearrange for a third time. So that's the date that I think we're going to recommend that we postpone to. Amanda, you got anything else you want to add to that? Because you have been speaking to everybody that was going to come.
Yeah. No, I think you've covered it pretty well, Claire. Had been in touch with everybody, and like Claire said, 4th of September is the preferred date for most people. Some of them are doing other things and won't be able to come, but I think this will also be an opportunity where I can contact those that haven't replied yet or said that they couldn't make the 10th of July. So if once you've agreed the date, then I can contact everybody tomorrow and book them all back in.
Okay, in which case, can you give us the dates then? Because you said you talked to notional dates.
4th of September.
4th of September.
If you go to page 2, 3.4, it's got the dates there.
Apologise.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Where do members wish to go with this, or are we happy to go with the September date because it's got more likelihood of achieving it?
Yeah, let's go with September.
Councillor Margaret Gate, then Councillor Fran Davis.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think probably it does make sense to go with the 4th of September, although part of me thought that doing it earlier would have been preferable, but I think you're right, there's an increased risk that it would have to be postponed again. And also because it's in the peak holiday season, there are going to be a lot of people probably being away if they're allowed to be. So I think it does make sense to move it to September the 4th.
Councillor Fran Davis.
I was just saying I was agreeing, put my hand up to say I was agreeing with the 4th of September being the more appropriate date. However, it is Black Pit Beer Festival that weekend.
Okay, so we can go to that afterwards then.
Indeed, if you've got a ticket.
Oh, if you've got a ticket, you haven't got any. We'll talk about that later then. Okay, that's tremendous. Right, thank you. So with that, please can we, once we've had the conversation, notify our partners in it, and it's important, as our mayor was going to be very prominent in that event, that we talk to all the people, I presume, who may or may not be receiving awards at that point. Because I believe, lest Margaret corrects me differently, that was going to happen at that event. No, thank you. Thank you. Right. So are we agreed, just to show hands, that that's what we're going to go for the 4th for the tape? Thank you. That's agreed unanimously. Thank you. Thanks for your cooperation. Right, if we move on to summer youth events, the verbal discuss the report from the Deputy Town Clerk. This may be parts of Action for Youth, and it may be the play around the parishes. It may be the two things combined, but will be led by her.
I'm going to talk about Action for Youth. Just to update members, we've got a budget of about £5,000 to target our 13 to 18-year-olds during the summer holidays, which this year is doubly important because the skate park is going to be out of action for some time. So getting some sort of entertainment on for that age range over the summer is quite important. We have commissioned, or with Action for Youth, who are the company that we used last year, that did a very good job and well regarded by the young people of the town. The proposal that they are putting together for us is to, just read it directly to you so I get it right, Tuesday to Thursday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m, and that will run from the 27th of July to the 26th of August. They haven't put a firm timetable together yet of what they want to do. Last time, they spent the first week engaging with young people, finding out what they wanted to do and what was on their mind, and built a programme around what the demand was. So I'm not expecting a very firm timetable from them. I think it will be much more engage and do what the people that are attending want to do. So that's where we are with that. Does anybody have any questions? Or?
Yes, questions? Okay, if there's no question, can I propose that we allow the Deputy Town Clerk, Amanda, and the Town Clerk to put forward this programme events, because it will take place before our next meeting. And if they have any questions in regards to budgets or whatever, that they'll bring that back to Councillor Mari and myself, and we'll just agree that we'll be able to sign that off for you, if that's agreed in the minutes. Is that agreed? Can we have a show of hands? Thank you. And can I thank officers for working on this? It may sound vague why we haven't got a report. It's because they haven't given us the information for the report, as Claire would have had it here. So we have worked with them before. They are a proper professional organisation, and as Claire rightfully says, with the hopefully the skate park's going to be being upgraded at that period, and we do need to do something. So we agree that at the right time that we'll do a press release about what we're doing. Is that agreed? Thank you. Item 10.3, Otter Trail. You have a report within it. It's quite interesting. This seems to be popping up on all agendas at the moment. It was on the environment agenda, though it was an event, but it was something that we funded through the bounce back money that we saved on or brought forward for this. So if Amanda can lead on this in the absence of the officer, please.
Robin, I think it might be fairer if I talk through it, because I know a fair bit more about it, if that's okay.
Okay, I apologise then, Claire. You lead on it. I do apologise.
Okay. Right. This is a project for some community art. Basically, we have bought 10 fantastic little otters that are unpainted, and we've been working with a number of community groups and other partners who've either sponsored them or come forward to paint them and decorate them. So some of the schools have decorated an otter. There's a really nice one from the Canals Trust, which is quite a work of art. It's going to be a lovely thing. They're going to be dotted about the town, and the town centre and the parks, to encourage people to come and walk around the town and give people something nice to do that's outside. A local artist is doing us a nice map for people to follow that we'll be able to give to everybody as they go around. What's happened when we originally drew up the update, we weren't sure whether, drew up the budget, we weren't sure whether we were going to get any sponsorship money. So we were very frugal with the budget, just doing the very basic. However, as it says in the report, we have currently £1,160 sponsorship that has come in. And if the committee has agreed, we'd like to put that towards a launch event and maybe some auto merchandise, and some nice badges for the kids to collect once you've completed your otter trail. You go to the Tourist Information Centre and get your otter badge to say that you're an otter spotter. So the new budget is there. That's item 4, what we would like to spend the money on, and obviously looking for your approval to spend that extra cash.
Thank you. And can I, from the chair, thank everyone for their involvement in that and what they've done with it, and getting the sponsorship in, which is to your credit. We were going to, of course, launch these otters at the Civic Day. Can we agree that we'll do, if we've got them all together before they go out, or whether they're going to go out in which order, we should get them all together, or whether we allow them to launch themselves, in the sense that people go and find them. I'll be led by the committee which way they think is the best way of doing that. I'll take Claire, then the town clerk.
Sorry, I should add, I've been talking to Sam, who's leading on this project. She's got an idea that she'd like to do a launch event outside the chamber where there's a lot of footfall coming through, probably targeting the 23rd of July as the time to do it. If all restrictions are lifted and we could use the chamber, she wants to have maybe a little exhibition in there so you can come in and everything will all be photoed, possibly hiring an otter costume and having somebody handing out the maps to any kids passing by to try and get them interested. So that's the working plan that we're having at the moment, but obviously it's very early days because we've had to rearrange completely now that Celebrate Buckingham isn't happening.
Well, obviously I'm keen that we involve the mayor and we involve the committee members in that event. So if we can't do it in the chamber, we have got gazebos and things that we could do, which we could put up and do it outside in those gazebos so people could physically see them if they were in a confined space. So we have got options, but this was something what we all wanted to do, and it's on the actually it's just a shame that we were not able to do it with Councillor Gately in the civic event where we were going to do it, but obviously if can we just check that date's available for Councillor Gately in her diary before we finalise it, because it would be I preferably would have the mayor there. It seems appropriate.
Yeah, thank you. It was already in my diary, so I must either be telepathic or have been informed of that somewhere else.
Well, I'm glad somebody's informing you of these things. It's always good. That's always nice to know. Right, thank you for that. So you'll be there. So in that case, we'll move off that and have we'll do some publicity if that's agreed. We'll do some press release around it and the importance of it near the time. Is that agreed? Is that everybody happy with that? Thank you. In which case we'll move on to the next thing on the agenda, which is the Fringe week, which is Amanda's going to lead on this. It's a very big body of work, and we must thank her for what she's done. Thank you.
Fringe week this year was due to start on Saturday the 17th of July, but the restrictions aren't being lifted until, well, hopefully Monday the 19th of July. So as Councillor Stutchbury has said, the launch of the Otter Trail has now moved to hopefully Friday the 23rd of July. Brand events that were coming in for the first weekend of the Fringe, for reasons their end, that's been cancelled. The historic pub walk that Jean Summers is organising with, I think it's the old jail. At the moment, she's talking about postponing that. because we don't know what the whether the restrictions will be lifted or not, and they don't feel comfortable doing it on the 19th. So the Fringe will probably be kicking off on Tuesday the 20th with the Oxford Fiddle Group. They are booked into the Radcliffe Centre. If restrictions are removed, we can have a normal audience of 100 people. If we stay under restrictions, we can still go ahead, but the audience would be cut down to 40 members only. So we're kind of watching that to see what happens. And they've also requested that we don't do refreshments this year, because those of you that have been to the Radcliffe Centre know how small the hallway is there where we normally set up and do refreshments. And they said, you know, if we're going to go forward and come out of lockdown, then they would prefer us to continue that way and not go backwards. Mikey Dyson is doing his online quiz. He did that last year and it was very popular. So that's still going ahead. UK Astronomy, I'm still trying to get hold of Ross because he has talked about doing it online. So if the worst comes to the worst, we'll have our astronomy night online, same as we did last year. We've got a Buskers Day organised for Friday the 23rd. And I've been talking to Dean Jones about that. He's sort of given me some ideas, and we're going to offer people hourly slots. So say like somebody would have a slot from 10 till 11, but then we'd have to have a half-hour break in between for people to pack up if they've set equipment up and for the next group to get in place. A big thing of the Fringe this year is Music in the Market has moved. We couldn't obviously go ahead at the end of May as we normally would. So we've been able to move it to the Rugby Club, who have very kindly lent us their ground, and they're working with us on this, and also with the Acoustic Club. So it's on Saturday the 24th up at the Rugby Club, and I'm just organising at the moment the toilets and the security. We're going to have extra security up there because obviously it's a much bigger area. So that's going to be our big thing. It's already being advertised through the Buckingham Acoustic Club and the Rugby Club, and we've also been doing some of our own publicity. The Family Fun Day was moved to Sunday the 25th, so that's still going ahead, and Sam, I think, has got everything booked in for that now. And Councillor Harvey is doing his wellness walk, which starts, I think, in the town centre and finishes at the university. He'll follow the trail that he did a couple of years ago. And that's how the Fringe Week is at the moment. Hopefully everything can go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you're all doing on this. Members have any questions or queries or points of information? I take it with consent with the body of work, recognising the difficulties then. Clearly we will keep you appraised of any. Councillor Frandaise.
So the busking, is that going to be by the council chamber, by down by Waitrose?
Yes, and we was also.
And is that going to be if the Otter launch is going to be in the same place, presumably?
I think Sam will do the Otter launch sort of more over towards the chamber door, but she is aware. We have spoken today. She's aware of the Buskers Day.
We will work it out, Fran, so that we meet all current or latest pronunciations from the Westminster Village, which change daily.
Excellent.
So
I think it would be quite a nice thing all going on together. Yeah,
be lovely, wouldn't it? And of course, we have the backdrop of the town council chamber, and we have the presence of the mayor. And what else could we possibly want? You know, scene fulfilled. We'll discuss anything like that. If there's any different decisions, I'll obviously keep Councillor Mari appraised. if there's anything we have to make a decision on quickly, if you leave us the liberty to do that, so we can move swift of foot. Are you happy with that? Is that agreed?
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you. And for the minutes, can I thank all the staff for their efforts in this, and the family fun day and everything. It's really, you can't quantify the amount of effort that's gone in to get to where we are, balancing events against regulations. And as you can see, it's a work in progress. So we'll do all current press releases as and when, if that's agreed, with the appropriate people in them. Is that okay? Thank you. Right, I'll move on to item 12 swiftly, which is to receive a report from the town clerk on the Barb. He's obviously going to read his piece of poetry out now, so be ready.
You'll be very glad to hear that I'm not. So the Bard of Buckingham, as you may know, began nearly 2 years ago. The idea, so the Bard was elected at an event we held in the Woolpack. It didn't cost us anything, but staff supported it and made it helped make it happen. The idea was to elect the Bard for 1 year, but with lockdown, Dean Jones has carried on being Bard. He's keen that we hold an election for the new Bard soon. So we've provisionally booked the Woolpack for the 4th of October, which is, it was supposed to be a year and a day before we had the election, but it's 2 years and 3 days. I'm sure there's some kind of poetic justification for that we'll come up with. So it's to let you know that that's the date. We'll be supporting Dean to promote that and put press releases out, and hopefully we'll run an event that's as enthusiastic and enjoyable as the last one.
Any Councillor Gately?
Thank you. Just looking in my diary, if that's an evening event, it's full council, I think, on October the 4th.
It's a Tuesday, so it must be the 5th. I apologise.
Okay.
Well spotted, Margaret, as ever. Always got your diary there to put us right. Thank goodness. Yeah, it would be rather silly to have an event on full council, wouldn't it? I take it that we'll involve the mayor in those things as normal.
Very much so.
And what was and we'll bring forward any more information to the next meeting about judging or anything like that, a further report if necessary.
Yeah, and Councillor Willett will be involved in Bardic Council meetings before then as the council's representative, so he'll be able to report back for the next meeting.
Yeah, if that's all done, that'd be great, wonderful, and I'm looking forward to it. And any councillors here, Councillor Hetherington, if you want to put forward for the Barb, you're welcome to compete. Councillor Murray's sitting there quietly. I think if he wants to be the Barb, you're welcome to compete. I'm not putting in for it. Because I don't think there's enough hours in the day for people. So I'll leave you to volunteer for that. But thank you very much for what's going on. And we'll move on to item 13. You will be aware that 2022 is a big day for the Palace, and it's Platinum Jubilee. If you look on your agenda, there's a small piece on it now, which makes some recommendations. If I allow Amanda to take you through those before we agree or don't agree them.
As Robin said, 2022 sees the Platinum Jubilee of the Queen, and Buckingham Palace have already confirmed what will be taking place around the country on Friday the 2nd of June. So it's got the service in St Paul's Cathedral, and this is where our involvement will come in. At 1 o'clock, the town criers across the country are invited to undertake the proclamation announcing the lighting of the beacon later that evening. At 9 o'clock, individual pipers and pipe bands are being asked to play. And I am going to, if it's okay, ask the young lady that has played the pipes or the bugle, sorry, for us for VE and VJ Day. I think this would be something that she'd like to join in on. Then at 9:15 in the evening is the lighting of the beacons, and the beacons are lit all across the country. And I think from what happened last time was it starts off at a certain time in London and then just goes on sort of in a chain across the country. And we've taken part in 2 beacons before, and what we do is we don't have a proper beacon, but we build a bonfire in the paddock where we hold bonfire and fireworks, and that's built by our Green Spaces team. And then we'll just announce that to the public, and that's where we'll hold our beacon. And then on here it says Sunday the 5th of June, there's the big Jubilee lunch. And I think what we did last time, we had a big lunch up at the church, and we held it inside the church. We decorated with bunting and moved all the tables over, and we had, I think it was fish and chips and a hog roast. People had to book a ticket in advance. And then there was, the church held their fete out on the grass as well. So I think what we'd like to do is take part in this. I'd like to decorate the town red, white and blue, lots of bunting, red, white and blue flowers, and
yeah, agree.
Yeah,
make it look really good.
Sounds good. Can I just ask through which day is the bank holiday? That's going to be a 4-day bank holiday, isn't it? Now, will that mean that Music in the Market will take place that weekend?
I think is that further down the
Because they
agenda?
might not give us an additional bank holiday. So I'm just concerned that when we agree where we're going for your sanity, Amanda, and that we know that, because we will have to be doing Music in the Market that weekend, that if it's a 4-day weekend, we don't make doing it all on one day. If it's going to be a 4-day bank holiday, I believe we could perhaps move that one way or the other, but we do like a day off after Music in the Market for people to recover. Having the 2 events on the same day wouldn't really be a good use of your time and your sanity, trying to run backwards and forwards between the church and Music in the Market. So can we, between now and then, we'd have sorted that problem out. We need to talk to the Acoustic Club and check the plans of the government on bank holidays. I think it's wise that we mention it now rather than run along. So if members are happy to agree in principle the recommendations and allow us to bring back updates at further meetings once we've answered any additional questions. If there is a budgetary consideration to this, we'll bring that back at a future meeting to be considered for the next budget round, because it'll be in next year's budget, not this year's budget. Is that agreed?
Yeah, agreed.
And thank Amanda for what she's done on it so far. And it's just important that we don't overload the staff on that weekend. We can't alter and cancel planned events. Fran, Councillor Davies.
So I've just got the bank holidays in 2022. Around then, there's still the Monday the 2nd of May is still listed as early May bank holiday, and then it's the Whitsun bank holiday that's changed. So those bank holidays are now Thursday the 2nd of June and Friday the 3rd of June. So there isn't a bank holiday Monday, then it's the Thursday and the Friday of that weekend for the Platinum Jubilee.
They haven't done us out of the bank holiday in August then?
No, 29th of August is still, that one's still there.
I often think we're not quite as European as other people because they have lots more bank holidays than we do, don't they? Councillor Gately.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a reminder for me to buy my 2022 diary, but looking at the year planner for 2022, I think, Amanda, you've got the dates wrong. It's Fran just said it's Friday the 3rd of June. You've got Friday the 2nd of June down. I think it's very important that we record it accurately so we know where we are. And obviously it's unusual to have the Thursday as a bank holiday rather than having the Friday and the Monday. So it could be quite a challenge managing all of that with the big lunch on the Sunday if we're going to have music in the market as well.
No, I'll go straight to Amanda. It looks like it's not going to interfere with music in the market, because that'll happen before. So that's a problem less. Amanda.
Yeah, I will double check that date because it was the 2nd of June on whatever I was looking at. So I'll double check that. But also with music in the market, I think we need to sit down and talk about that a little bit more, because we can't do it on the first weekend of May because of the logistics and everything for that. I think there will be a lot of work to do that in May and all of this. But I think we need to talk to the Acoustic Club first of all and see what they want to do, because it's their event.
Are you happy for us to go away and have them conversations? It is for next year. We've got time to actually do this, and we've got such good working relationships with organisations that are you happy for us to go away and have them conversations, and we'll bring it back to a future thing? But having been involved in the Silver Jubilee, we're now going to be involved in the Diamond Jubilee. So that's wonderful. Councillor Mari.
Just having a quick check, the May bank holiday weekend will be moved to Thursday, the 2nd of June, and an additional bank holiday, Friday, the 3rd of June, will see a 4-day weekend to celebrate Her Majesty the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. So the 2nd of June is correct, although it's not a Friday, it's a Thursday.
Okay, well, we'll sort that all out anyway, Andy. If there's anything, I'll come back to you if I need your help, mate. Is that all right?
Well, yeah, anytime.
And we'll bring that to a future meeting. We are there. We got Queen's Jubilee. Buckingham in Bloom, which, if we are agreed that we'll just make all those decisions and bring it back, we'll move on to 14, Buckingham in Bloom, which is appropriate now to discuss the trophy stroke shield situation in conjunction with that report. So if we can hear about that report, and then we'll go into those discussions afterwards as we decided.
Robin and Councillor Mahi will know that Buckingham in Bloom started over 10 years ago, and it's sort of grown into quite a competition now, where in 2013 we introduced a silver cup for the best kept garden winner, which since then has gone to Mr. Wilkins, whose garden is very nice. It's judged on colour, the variety of plants and everything. We've got people that enter into the hanging baskets and containers, and the gardens have to be visible from the curbside, so we're not going into people's back gardens or along the side of their houses and that. So if you can't see it from the curbside, then obviously they can't enter it. What I'm looking for is judges for this year. It's in the past it's been judged by the Mayor, Councillor Bloomfield, I think Councillor Mahi and Councillor O'Donoghue. I'm looking to see if we can get some judges for this year. It'll be judged, I think it was the week of the 12th of July. So are you available, Councillor Gately?
Yeah, hopefully.
I know, would Councillor Hetherington like to be involved in that? If she's got a diary with her, something that I know she'd probably be interested in. And Councillor Fran Davis has got your hand up. I'll take you first, Fran.
I'd be interested in helping to judge that if it was deemed that anybody would like me to do so.
I would be happy with that. So that's 1, 2. We're just waiting for the third person. whether I was offering it to Councillor Hetherington, because being a new member, it be something to be involved in, like your good self.
I'm around, but not on the Friday the 16th. So 4 days out of the 5 I'm around.
Okay.
Would it, oh, just knock that over. Would it be okay then that the 3 councillors agreed to do this liaise together, and we don't take any part in saying which day they should meet, and we allow them to organise that amongst themselves? That seems the most appropriate thing to do. And thank them very much for taking. Oh, Terry will be pleased. Which then brings us to the question which Councillor Gately suggested we discuss at this point, which is whether to have a separate trophy. I'll take Councillor Mari first.
Yeah, I still think we could go with the trophy and include the young people. So make it that the schools primary schools can get involved in having a little garden, and the trophy go to the school that has the best garden. Encourage the young people to do some gardening, and it's an idea.
Councillor Fran Davies just beat the mayor there over the hurdle there of the hand raise. So I'll take Councillor Fran Davies first, then the mayor.
I think Councillor Mahi's suggestion for that is an excellent one. However, we've only got 4 weeks and 2 days before we break up for the summer holidays, and it's not really very long for any schools to get a project like that off the ground. It would be great to do it to introduce something like that for successive years, but I think that's not really, with everything else going on in schools, it's not really going to work out very well this year.
I think that's a very good point. Councillor Gately, was that something similar to what you were going to say?
I was going to say exactly the same. I think it's a brilliant idea, and do it, advertise it and promote it early enough for next year.
Okay, thank you. I think that's the right way forward. Thank you, Councillor Mari, for introducing that. We'll put it forward for next year. Now, on the trophy question, we haven't answered that. Are we happy to go with a trophy as discussed, or we were going to put it with the Terry Bloomfield trophy? We moved it down to here. We need to resolve that now. Councillor Gately.
I thought we just did. Hi, Lisa. Yeah. I thought we just agreed that we would do that as to encourage young people and schools and maybe other youth groups.
I didn't catch that was what we were going to do it for. I thought we were just going to have an event extra for that. If that's saying do it for next year, that's fine. We've answered all the questions.
Thank you, Margaret. Yes, that's it. That's exactly.
Sorry, Andy, I didn't quite get that. That's great. You're on the ball as usual, Margaret. Good job you are. Councillor Fran Davies.
I wonder whether having any sort of competition for people who've got allotments might, because people might not have gardens and they have allotments because they haven't got gardens. I wonder whether that's something to introduce.
Sounds a good idea. I haven't finished some correspondence about allotments. I owe Margaret a response on allotments, but I think that's something we could look at in a future year. I just see Amanda's got a hand up.
That's okay. I was going to say, can we look at it for maybe next year? But I don't think we've ever done allotments, have we? Because they do their own. Yeah,
this is where we are. Let's bring that about Sue. I've got your hand up.
I could suggest another idea for a garden would be wildlife friendly gardens, although quite often wildlife friendly gardens have loads of weeds in and stuff.
I've got a wildlife friendly garden.
Well done, Andy.
They can be beautiful as well. A wildlife friendly garden can be incredibly beautiful. Lots of pollinators.
Yeah. And I think we'll put those ideas on, and with Margaret correcting you as usual, and rightfully so, we've made the agreement of the trophy, and we'll move on to climate emergency and welcome Councillor Lisa Donoghue, who's now joined us after her training.
Thank you
for attending.
Glad to be here.
Right, if you look at the climate emergency action plan, we always note these things. Many of the actions in conjunction with this committee, if you look on 13, have been in hand, and on 14 in hand. So that's really good that we're taking those forward. I'm really pleased that the idea of an action plan on the environment's agreed better here than it has been in some places in the past week, but that's really positive. Is there anything members wish to say on the action plan with the areas conserved to the events? This is your chance to raise it. Officers put a lot of work into this, and it's of course thanks to Councillor Ruth Newell that we've actually, and probably Councillor Margaret Gately to a degree, we've got where we are with these projects. Has anyone got any concerns about it, or are we just going to say well done and move on?
Yep, well done.
Thank you. In which case, we'll move swiftly on to the next item on the agenda, which is, I'll get to it, litter picking. This is another event which seems to be crossing from one agenda to another agenda. It was on here. The idea was that we would do a litter pick event with green spaces. I know that Nina might want to fill us in on that because she's done quite a lot of work on this. You happy with that, Nina?
Yep, that's fine. Thank you, Robin. So the youth club approached us to ask if could do a combined litter picking event. They were interested in doing a litter picking event around the town. Obviously don't have their own equipment, which we do. So we thought that would be a lovely opportunity to join forces and do something with the young people and the youth leaders and our councillors. And obviously TCNE have previously organised litter picking events, but also we have discussed with some of our newly elected councillors getting together and doing something that's environmentally friendly and positive for the community. So this would be a great opportunity to do that. So between the youth leader, between Katie and Lee and myself, we came up with the 18th of July. So that was a date that was going to work primarily for the youth centre. We still think it can go ahead with the current restrictions because we're not anticipating that we're going to get a huge amount of people turning up. We've only had one councillor respond so far to say that they're available to take part. So I would say, please check your diaries. Again, it's the 18th of July, which is a Sunday. And we would be starting in Bourton Park at 10:30 in the morning, ideally by our hashtag quick litter pick bin, which we've just launched. And then we'll be doing a circuit around town. So we've asked the youth club, we've asked the kids at the youth club to come up with some sort of litter hotspots that they can identify that we might not already be aware of, plus the usual kind of target points. And then obviously any bags that we collect will be disposed of by our Green Spaces team.
Thank you.
So that's it really.
Yeah, thank you. I know I see the mayor's indicated already in the chat that she's going to be involved. Obviously, I seek to be involved myself, I expect. And we just send an email around to the town councillors to again, to make them aware of this, to put a date in their diary. The fact that when we first discussed this before the election, and it was the previous election that never took place, when we were discussing this back in 2020, we just were going to do it, as Nina quite rightly says, as an event for people to actually not meet, but to actually get new councillors, meet other councillors and take part. I see Councillor Fran Davis is going to take part, so the numbers are growing now. We've now got 2 bagfuls, at least, plus the councillor hasn't been named. I noticed that Councillor Sue Harrington knows how to use the finger pickers, because I saw her on social media using the equipment, so she's well knowledge for that. So, and I see Councillor Lisa Dunn, who's ready to speak, so I'll take Lisa.
Thank you. You could probably blame me for this idea, because Katie wanted to know if there's something within the community that that our young people could get involved with. So I said about Nina's idea with litter picking, and so I'll be there. I'll be there wearing both hats, as a youth worker and as a town councillor, and I'll make sure my scooter's charged and ready.
Okay, if you get on level ground, I'll be there as well, Lisa.
And we are intending to treat our young people with ice cream afterwards as an encouragement to attend.
Does that include me?
No, you can buy your own.
Oh, right, okay. I'm not counted as a young person anymore, am I?
We are a charity, Robin.
I don't mind. I'll bring my own ice cream, but it'll probably melt when we're going round.
No, it's at the end.
I won't put it in my pocket. It all sounds very positive, and if we can advertise this out, and of course you will get chance to be involved once we get onto item 17, the action list. You'll see there's other environmental things we're going to be doing for the year that you can be involved. Thanks very much for the time you put into that, Nina, and also thank you very much for the initiatives that you've got about the bin, which I noticed the environment that you came up with. I believe it was you came up with people go and pick a liquor picker out and go off and do their own bit and bring it back. I thought that was a really great initiative, and thanks very much for what you're all doing. In which case we'll move on to item 17, forthcoming events, which is 7.1 we've done really. We've done 7.2 and which leaves 7.3, which is play around the parishes. For members' information, we fund play around the parishes from this committee. I'm always conscious of the fact that Buckinghamshire Council never quite like to recognise that we fund it, so and like to flag it as their event. But I'll leave Amanda to carry on from there, and I know Andy's got his hand up, so perhaps I'll take Andy first.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention on the item about litter picking, can this email go to the whole council? It's not just a town centre event. It's
we agreed that, Andy.
Involved.
Yeah.
Me and you were suffering from the same complaint tonight.
It has. It's been cascaded to all councillors.
Yeah,
Thank you, Nina.
In a minute, Margaret will correct you or me that we forgot. But we're all suffering from the same complaint. So I'll leave Amanda to go through the rest of the list after that. Amanda?
Okay, what I've done is at every meeting we list the upcoming events, and so I've listed all the events up to Christmas. So that I think it's just the river rinses where the dates need to be confirmed, but everything else is on here. And what you'll find that I do, even though we'll go on to item 18 in a moment, is that I ask for help at the events, and what it sort of mainly consists of is litter picking. So I'll be asking quite soon, I'll be sending an email out to all councillors asking for people to come and help at Music in the Market on the 24th of July. The more people that come out and help litter pick at the end of the night helps us, because we get finished a lot earlier, and we've proved that in the past. We can now, with the help of volunteers and our Green Spaces team with Music in the Market and Bandjam, we can be packed up within about 45 minutes to an hour and on our way home, whereas a few years ago we were still there at midnight trying to clean up. but we've listed all our events, and hopefully they're all going to go ahead, and that the fair will be coming in on the 16th and the 23rd of October, bonfire and fireworks on the 6th of November, and so on. Do you want me to carry on with event ownership?
No, I think members have read it, Amanda, and maybe move into my thing. Are members happy that because it's been such a torrid 12 months, that once we get into through the Fringe, we do a press release about all the events we've got planned, so that people see that we are alive and the officers have done the work for where we're getting to. But let's take that at the right time. Are members happy with we do a press release at that point about the amount of events that we've got planned?
Yeah, I think Amanda usually does anyway, doesn't she?
Yeah, I know, but we are the committee, Lisa, and we will agree that through the committee, if you don't mind. Thank you. So that agreed?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And which moves on to ownership of events, was where Amanda was heading us. As you can see, it repeats the same list, but this is your opportunity now. Opportunity knocks, as they say in the 1970s. This is your chance to come forward and lead on events. You'll see that we've got the Fringe free for members to be involved in. Obviously, I'll be ex officio to most things anyway, as the mayor will be ex officio attending events in any case. But does that list of events frighten you, or do you wish to go away and consider where you want to come into it? You'll notice that Councillor Lisa Donoghue has been leading on the dog show, and I presume you're going to take that on again, are you, Lisa?
Yeah, and also local democracy event.
And local democracy.
Again.
Lisa's very good. She's got an immense good timer, haven't you? It works very well.
Yeah. You're only allowed to speak for 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. I was waiting to say that. That's why I said it. Councillor Gately.
Yeah, thank you. Just as you've mentioned the dog show, I struggle a bit with this because I have allergies to pet fur, and I feel as though to go as mayor to the dog show may not be a wise thing for me to be doing, because we might then need the first aiders to take over. So I alerted the deputy mayor and to see whether he would be available, and he said he's not sure. So just at this point, there's a bit of a uncertainty as to whether the mayor or deputy mayor can open the dog show.
I have a suggestion for that. We have a fantastic ex-councillor who's involved in the dog show, Councillor Mike Smith, who did inadvertently volunteer, though he will regret saying that he'd come back and help with the compare. Would it be agreeable that we ask, if he's agreeable, that Councillor Mike Smith does that, opens it and does it? And Margaret.
Can I just say that Warren hasn't said absolutely that he can't do it. He's just not sure at the moment. So I think if he says he can do it, then we should allow him to do that. But Mike certainly would be a good person to do it if the deputy mayor can't.
Yeah. I usually go down there and have my lunch, stroke dogs and feed them bits of my sandwiches and eat ice cream. I thoroughly enjoy the event. And but I know that Councillor Donoghue was doing this, and I know that Councillor Bloomfield, who often stood down like Councillor Smith, they're both very key in this. Councillor Lisa Donoghue.
Yeah, just backing up what Margaret said, really. I think comparing doing the PA is different from like being the figurehead and opening the event as the leader of the council. So I think just backing up what Margaret said, we'll leave it to the mayor or deputy mayor to open the event. But obviously, Mike's volunteering and Terry's volunteering, and welcome their help. But if there's anybody that wants to do deputy lead on this, then Amanda and I'd be grateful for the extra hand.
Yeah, I'm intending to be down in the park, Lisa. But
you're volunteering to be deputy lead then?
If nobody else does, I will do. But I don't want to. I think we'll put this list to Councillor Fran Davis. You're on mute, Fran. You're back.
Sorry, no, I didn't actually have anything to say. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't know whether you were going to volunteer to be joint lead on the dogs. Should we leave it that we put that out to allow new members to come forward if they want to? You'll note that the charter fair's under me because I have a certain knowledge of the charter fair. Bandjam and the music in the market will be under me. I'll do that. The river rinse, I'll be in the river. So this is my rightful place. So we will need a lead on the river rinse on the bank to coordinate it at some point. But Amanda and I'll tick in the ones that I'm going to lead on, and the community food fair, just for new members, that is a event that we brought forward where we have different stores of good quality food in the community centre, which is later in the year. So that should take place. That's the sort of event that someone can lead on. Period. Councillor Fran Davies.
I was going to say I'd be interested in helping on the community food fair. Not necessarily leading on at this stage, but I'd definitely like to deputise.
Okay, that's good. Amanda.
When you're saying community food fair, are you combining the community fair in December and the food fair in February?
No, the food fair. I'm considering the food fair
Just
in
the food
February.
fair. Okay, Councillor Davies, is that the one that you're talking about in February?
Probably.
Confused me as well.
Well, I said the 26th, but if I've confused people, that wouldn't be the last time or the first time. So just to make it simple, we'll put this list out to members. Members can respond appropriately. And can I ask the town clerk to put the unfilled in list onto the full council agenda to allow new members and councillors to take part? Because these events aren't just town centre and events, they're the council events, and they shouldn't think by not being on this committee they get away with not being involved. and we can berate them for not being involved, and who's better to do that than me? And I will. They come on the council, they need to be active and involved.
Indeed.
Where possible. Right, okay, so we've got down to item 18, action list, ownership of events, access. This is on the agenda, every agenda. Of course, without Councillor Strain-Clark, we have no natural lead on access. But we'll keep this on the agenda per se. Anything that comes up, I see the town clerk's waving.
Yeah, just to note that Councillor Willits is the council's representative with the Access for All group now, so I'm sure he'll be feeding back from them.
Thank you for that. I did. Yeah, that's well put. We'll get some things back from Councillor Willits. That's great. And in which case we move on to item 20, additional banners. Town clerk can explain this because he organised it.
Well, the communications clerk organised it already. So this is to note that the communications strategy group have agreed to use some of the underspend from the newsletter, which has come in cheaper than we anticipated, to produce some banners and also some some good quality plastic notices with all the events on for the summer. So rather than putting up lots of laminated A4 sheets for every event, we're going to try and put some of these up around the town instead. So there's just one thing with more information on it, which is bigger and hopefully will last a bit longer and look nicer than what we've done in the past. That's less plastic going up and will hopefully be a bit better quality. We would have produced them by now, but obviously all the dates keep changing every day. So we're going to have to bite the bullet and produce them pretty sharpish now, and hope that nothing else changes once they're produced.
Going by that glorious event, the Good Endings Fair, which produced a lot of waste paper, brochures we can't use anymore for anywhere else without a date on. Can I suggest that we try not to put dates on this stuff so that we don't create more waste for the environment, and that in some way, if we are going to put dates on it, we add them to them in some way, because I'm conscious that we could spend a lot of money on this and then go and do it again. And then that doesn't seem very green, does it? If we can do anything about making these reusable for future years, can I plead that we do that?
We'll investigate and we'll do what we can, but I don't think we can commit to anything. It is quite, certainly with the poster ones, I don't think we could, because actually the dates are quite key information on that one. For the banners, the banners aren't very expensive, and there is a balance there between something that looks good and has the right information on it, and something which can be reused. And you do see some pretty tatty looking banners around with kind of other bits inserted over the top or put in bits of plastic at the front, which don't look as good as we would want things to look for the town. So there's we need to balance that and see what we can come up with.
Councillor Fran Davis.
On that note of having things reusable, whether it's worth looking at a chalkboard style Corex board, so it's on a black background, so that then you can write on it with chalk pen put the dates in. It might be worth investigating on that front.
Thank you for that. That rather sounds a logical idea, because when we organised the Fringe banners, which Amanda will remember, which went out for the Buckingham Fringe, we actually made sure they were pocket banners so that we can put the dates in appropriately in them, because we were conscious that we were spending a large amount of public money, and we wanted to make sure they were reusable. I'm not sure. There's always a problem when we put them up, they blow down, but they are reusable. So are you happy, Town Clerk, to take that suggestion of putting a chalk type thing in it, and if we can?
Yeah, again, we will take it away and have a look about it, and Fran, we might get in touch with you informally afterwards to see what we can come up with.
Yeah, because I don't think we should be seen.
Cool.
You know, if we can reuse things, it just looks so much better, and it fits in with our agreed ecological ambitions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We'll get criticised if we keep purchasing fit stuff and throwing them away in skips, won't we? Quite rightly so. Okay, so thank you very much for that, and thank you for the work done in that. Obviously, that's coming here to note, in really, because it had to be organised in the time frame to agree to do it. But in which case, we move on to tourist information, item 21. As you can see, that's being done by our town centre manager. Since we took the very wise decision to bring that back in-house. You can see the figures for what they are. I believe we're reading it from left to right, not right to left, aren't we, Paul?
Yeah.
In which case we are showing that towards information that the interest is going up. I think that will happen through the members. I think at some point we need to allow the town centre manager to have a little bit more time to sell what's going on in towards information, and part of the work that she's doing in there is the liberty to get on and promote both her own role in conjunction with Amanda and Claire, to make sure that we get better value out of that and people come to towards, because it's evident, isn't it? We are, and the town clerk will correct me if I'm wrong, we're the only tourist information centre in North Buckinghamshire. There is not another one, not in the Buckinghamshire Council area. I don't know if Milton Keynes has got tourist information, and we took the decision to carry on funding it. Councillor Smith was very part of that decision years ago to make sure that we actually kept this and funded it, and it brings people to Buckingham, and I went in there the other day to see how they were, and they were doing very well. I walked into the old jail and got interrogated, but that's another point. But I do think it works very well together. So we agreed to allow the town centre manager to promote that as and when she feels fit, to bring some more, because we need to show people what we're spending that money on. And we are getting quite the value what it brings to the Buckingham area outside Buckingham is quite great. And of course, if Buckinghamshire Council want to come back into addition funding for it, and if we see some project that we need to apply to the community board for tourism, that may come back here to know. But we do need to make best use of those good decisions we took last year, to have a town centre manager, and the previous decision to actually fund tourism, because it supports the economy, and in bounce back, that's going to be key. Are we happy that we allow the town centre manager liberty to get on with that?
Noted.
Thank you. Screen keeps dying on me and the paperwork keeps falling off the table. But apart from that, it's going very well. Right, in item Tourism Information Centre, town centre manager, well, obviously the deputy town clerk may have some additional information to what I've said, but she may support what I've said.
Yeah, you have covered a few things that I was going to go through, Robin, and indeed Emma has submitted a report which is going to be discussed at the end as well. Aside from that, just to update you, the TIC is going to be, Tourist Information Centre will be opening on a Sunday from the second week in July. Shop mobility, as the town clerk has already said, will remain closed on a Tuesday until the restrictions are fully lifted. Robin, you've already covered the market, which is obviously running really well. Thank you for noting that and the work that Russell's been doing. The business survey. So Emma's been spending a lot of time getting out and about and speaking to our local business owners and our businesses and completing her business survey with them. This, she tells me, it's been, well, I know it has because I know how much work she's put into it. Been extremely time consuming because, as you can imagine, at the moment our business owners are very, very busy. So actually trying to down to go through a survey and talk to you has been hard work. But I understand at the moment we're approaching about 20 responses and she's still putting a lot of effort into that. So hopefully we can move that forward. She's also been working with Lee on the purchase of some extra benches, including one in the town centre outside the old jail. Lee's told me that he's got some prices for some ones made from recycled plastic, but he's holding off ordering them at the moment as the Green Spaces team, it's basically they're absolutely swamped at the moment with all the grass cutting that they're doing. So he's not going to order it until he's got some sort of capacity to get that fitted. And Emma has had 2 quotes back for the toilet signage in Cornwallis Meadow. She's chasing up the 3rd one, so hopefully we'll have some progress on that pretty quickly as well. Lastly, the shop local raffle is all ready to go live on the 1st of July. I know Emma and Louise have been working on the webpage for that, and that's all finished and ready to go. Only thing left, Emma is going to be prize buying from local shops next week. She wanted to leave it reasonably late so they were seasonally appropriate prizes. We thought she went a bit too early and got them, then they might not really be appropriate. But that's looking quite good, and hopefully that will all be ready. Well, that is all ready to go and start on the 1st of July.
Brilliant.
Thank you. From my point of view as chairman, I'm very, very satisfied how it's going. I can't, the amount of work that's gone in since we took the decision to do this, it's been proved to be the right decision, and I'm grateful for what's gone on. Councillor Margaret Gately.
Yeah, thank you. Can I just ask, the raffle starting on July the 1st, when are the prizes being awarded? What's the end date on the raffle?
31st.
31st. Thank you. So would they want? I mean, how about? Do you want me to present the prizes, or how is that being envisaged?
I have to say, I envisaged it as we would send the prizes out. But I suppose my mind is still very much in COVID restriction time. Could I have a word with Emma about how we could with you on that and see if there's a better way of doing it?
If you're happy, Claire and Margaret, that that Cllr goes and investigates what the possibilities are, and if there's possibility. It was nice because we couldn't actually give the checks out. It was nice seeing that you gave the checks out. We hadn't done that social media, giving the checks out the other day. That was quite good. At least it shows public money going back to people, and it's our only way of doing it, maybe. But if we allow you and Cllr to sort that out with town centre manager, and come and do what you need to do, are we agreed with that?
Happy for that.
Yeah, that makes a logical sense. We shouldn't be micromanaging that sort of stuff. We should just be letting you get on with it. Can I just ask through the officers that it is a large body of work that the town centre manager's doing, and I'd like to at some point bring an interim report back, maybe September or the meeting after that, depending on her workload, so that we can have and her commitments, that we can talk to her about it and take some pleasure in the work that she's doing, not to interfere in it, but it is under this committee, and maybe bring something a little bit more about with tourism then, because it's a big body of what we actually do as a budget of the council, and we hear lots of sort of unnecessary remarks about why we the council funds what it does. But just for information, tourism information we took on because it was abandoned by the district council. The town centre manager didn't cost any more money because we took a decision to within council to fund it differently. And the disability toilets, we took those on, and the toilets, because nobody else would. And the Fringe festival that we actually do was actually part of the festival fortnight, which used to be with the district council, and they walked away from it. So the history of why we do things is because we don't walk away from Buckingham. So that's why these events are being funded, and people don't know that. And it showed a constant theme through this council, through different members, is that we take Buckingham very seriously. That's why they're there. I think something along those lines in the future, a report explaining why we're doing stuff, what we do, I think it'd be very useful, especially when we come up to precept, to explain to the new members who can then see the report, not the members of the committee, but the members who are perhaps not so aware of these things, who have said things that aren't always led by actualities. So if we can have that come forward at a future meeting, that would be grand. And from my point of view, thank you for all the work that's going on in that, as I said it already, and we'll move on to twinning, if that's okay.
Yep.
And see where we go with that, because I'm not sure where we are with twinning. In the sense of,
Chair, I think the Mayor would like to say something about twinning.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, Margaret.
Thank you, Councillor Stutchbury. I should also declare an interest, because I'm now a member of the Twinning Association. But we've made quite a few steps towards progressing the formalisation of the German twinning, and I'm due to have a conversation on the telephone with or probably Zoom, with the Mayor of Neukirchen-Flühen on this Thursday evening.
Excellent.
With other members of the Twinning Association to try and, well, to introduce each other, because I don't know him and he doesn't know me. And hopefully it's with a view to a very small group coming over from Neukirchen-Flühen on the weekend of the 23rd, 24th of October to sign our part of the agreement. Again, new members may not be aware, but when Councillor Cole was mayor, he went to Neukirchen-Flühen and signed the papers there with their former mayor, who is an elected mayor and is in post for about 7 years, I think. Since then, the elected mayor has changed, but I gather that he is keen as well on the twinning and keen to progress it. Obviously, it was delayed. This should all have happened last year, but because of COVID restrictions, it couldn't happen. So I'm very keen that this should come to fruition and be completed.
Brilliant. Well done.
Thank you. Am I correct, Margaret? And correct me if I'm wrong. You are a German speaker.
I am. I can speak German. I think I might find it quite challenging on Thursday, but I shall have to get my German dictionary out and prepare lots of vocabulary in advance. But
well, which is all to your credit, actually. So much to your credit that you've learned another language. We have a £2,000 budget, and I think there's funding which we put in. Where are we on those budgets? It's 90664. Is there any budgetary decisions we have to take now, Town Clerk? Can we leave that?
No, we can leave it. So there's £2,000 in this year's revenue budget, and there's £2,000 in the earmark reserve from last year's budget. So £4,000 altogether for whatever we want to do.
What I am, as a chair, conscious of, knowing that if we do organise a civic lunch, there's two things I want to know from, and it's not for Councillor Gately. If Councillor Gately thinks it's suitable to take the new mayor out for a lunch when they come over, and that's the way that we want to do this, not a huge civic gathering, can I propose that at a future date we agree a sum of money, because it isn't right that Councillor Gately pays for that out of her mayoral allowance. That should be funded from the civic budget. She can't say that. I don't want her funding that from. That's not what the mayoral allowance is there for.
That, Robin, I agree with you.
Yeah. So at that time, we'll bring the Town Clerk can establish how that event's going to run, and we bring that back, because I am conscious that we shouldn't ask Margaret to do that, because there's other callings on that, and that's not what it was put there for.
Yeah.
But if we are going to do, if it's seen that we're going to do some form of civic event, we do need an early signal that that is what the Twinning Association is going to do, because there are huge, having done that, one or two of them, there's huge organisational things that have to happen to make sure we take it. And it is, our civic event is built around supporting the mayor, who represents us, as it's a civic event of the town council. So that's why we will do what we need to do. But if Councillor Gately wearing her twinning hat on, not a mayoral hat, can go and establish all those facts for the officers, that would be really good, and we'll be led through guidance from the mayor what she finds out, because we don't want to be having to organise an event at the last moment, because they do cost money, and we also are twin with Mouveau as well, so we have to take that all into consideration. But I'm sure that's not too unworthy. I'm just conscious that we're not going to use the mayoral allowance to entertain another mayor. Councillor Gately.
Yeah, thank you. It's my understanding, but I could be wrong, it's just a small group from Germany coming, not from Mouveau at this point. But I think it would be good to have some kind of civic event, but I think I need to talk with the town clerk and ascertain before Thursday evening what is possible and what isn't. And as you say, it's all quite short notice really to be arranging anything. So
could I just advise you talk to Amanda, not the town clerk, because the town clerk has never had to organise one of these things. Amanda and I have done it quite a lot. So the town clerk might think it's really possible, and Amanda will tell you what is possible. Have it, both of them together, please, Margaret. I'm conscious of that Amanda's got a lot of experience in doing these things, and we shouldn't forget it.
Are you in the office tomorrow, Amanda, or can I get hold of you tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm at home tomorrow. I'm in the office Wednesday.
Okay.
Could you do a Zoom meeting between all the three of you to do it? And if Claire needs to be there, she'd keep order. I don't need to be there. I just need to support you to do what you need to do. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay, we'll move on. Well, we have done most of the news releases throughout the agenda. Clearly, we can bring that information back to a future agenda, so we don't need any news on that, because we don't know where we're going to. Margaret will guide us on that. Chairman's items, we haven't really got any, because we've had it all within the agenda. The date of the next meeting will be on the 6th of September, and hopefully we'll know where we're meeting. We may even be meeting the council chamber by then, if the rules. We may even perhaps be the first meeting in the council chamber by September. Who knows? We'll be guided by events. And then we're moving to item 27, and you can stay in this, Sue, if you want to. You don't have to leave, because you remember the council. We've got a section on the Public Act Local Government Act 1972,